House hunting on a budget is all about compromise, but where's the fun in that? I'm here to show you there is another way. If you want your dream house in the ideal location, don't buy it, build it. I'm Charlie Luxton, and this is Building the Dream. Today I'm in Cornwall, where Peter and Molly Goodman have a problem on their hands.
We've got a lovely life, we've just got a horrible house.
They're now pinning their hopes on a continental kit build and some rather eccentric builders. Ho! 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 I think that means it's good. I don't know, but it sounds good. They're going to be speedy, but I tried to make sure they're also ambitious.
You've probably added another 50,000 to the cost of our bill, Charlie.
Rubbish. Which doesn't always make me Mr. Popular. They're off, Luxton, with your modern ways. Yeah, coming down here with your fancy ideas. But if they can avoid making mistakes,
I think Charlie saved me from myself.
They could be about to get their perfect home in their dream location.
For German crafts workers, we stand above. Your house was built with speed and love.
Yay! When Peter and Molly retired down here to Cornwall, I imagine they were thinking of a nice, tranquil life. But it's funny how some people can't seem to relax, and instead of taking it easy, they're now knocking down a 1930s house and replacing it with the German eco-home. Last year, Peter wound up his graphic design business. Molly left her academic job, and they started looking to buy their dream home, but soon realised that it wasn't going to be as easy as all that.
Wherever we looked, we kept finding the right place or the right house in the wrong place. Eventually we thought, well, we can't find the house we want, so let's be in the place we want to be and then create the house.
Yeah. Well, we just love this village and to be by the sea. And we thought we can change the house, but we can't change the location. So that's how we come to be here.
Peter and Molly bought a house originally with the idea of renovating, but have since decided the best thing to do is to knock it down and start again. So this is it? This is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, that's not what I was expecting. That looks okay. Why are you knocking that down?
It looks okay from here, but we regularly, our friends say this when they come over, but as you go in, you see more and more, and then they end up by saying, yeah, we totally understand why you're knocking it down.
It's really two houses fused together.
Right.
And it's very difficult to imagine how you could make it into one home. It's not a thing of beauty, is it?
No. No, it's not a thing of beauty. But I bet that window's got a good view.
It's got a good view, Charlie, yes, it has.
Is that what attracted you to it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very much.
And this lovely village, we love this village. And we've been made so welcome. Everybody's very friendly and we've got a lovely life. We've just got a horrible house.
Eventually the solution dawned on them, and they realised that self-building meant not having to compromise.
So we sat in a restaurant one evening and Peter said, Molly, I'll give you the house you want. So I'm holding him to that.
Oh, that was a rush.
It was.
Oh, that's almost careless.
Well, he's done it now. Peter and Molly are going for a timber frame eco house, prefabricated in Germany and put together on site in just 3 months. It's an upside down house. On the first floor there's the living area, an art space for Molly and a huge balcony to capitalise on the sea views. While downstairs there are 4 bedrooms, all en suite, one doubling as Peter's music room.
So this is kind of the forever home, is it? This one?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Really?
Oh, no.
Even though it's the home you wanted?
Well, I don't know if it'll be the home I want till it's built. I can't
Right.
really tell, but I quite like moving.
Do you?
I do.
Whether they settle here or not, I think Peter and Molly have hit upon a great location. The beautiful village of Travone is just down the road from bustling Padstow. It's a gem with an unusually high percentage of owner-occupied homes. It has a real sense of community. The location is perfect. Now to do something about the house.
Okay, well this looks alright. Well, that's a bit weird though, isn't it? So you go up steps
Yeah?
and then down steps to get
Yeah.
to there. And then upstairs to here. That's a good view. And then, oh, more stairs down there.
Oh,
Yes.
we've got lots of stairs, yes.
So the whole house is sort of fractured on different levels.
Yeah,
Up
very
and
much.
down, up and down.
I'm starting to get the picture. This is such a complicated split-level house. There's no simple way to bring it all together.
That is hard to fix.
Yes.
Without, well, either totally demolishing that and then attaching it to this. Other than that, I don't see how. Right. But the problem is then you pay VAT on all that work. If you knock the house down, you don't pay any VAT. So it sort of forces you into knocking it down, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's me fully on board. Down to business.
So these are plans, are
Yes.
they? Right, let's have a look. So how much did you spend on the plot and the house?
In total, we paid for the plot and the house was 495,000.
Okay, and what is your build budget?
It's still being totally finalised, but I think we're looking really at a max of 420.
420. So that's 915,000. Do you know what it might be worth?
We've had a view that it'd be worth $1 million plus.
Wow. Okay. With that view, I can kind of see why. I mean, it's going to be stunning, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if they can stick to their budget, then Peter and Molly could save themselves at least 85 grand by self-building, and hopefully get their dream home in the process. In a factory in Germany, they're about to start manufacturing this place, so every last detail needs to be thought about now. And it's the frame around their feature balcony that's caught my eye.
My first idea is kind of quite, I don't know, quite big. I'm just going to say it and then you can tell me to go away. But what are these posts made of on your balcony?
Posts are timber.
Timber.
Yeah.
So what I would do, I think, is extend those posts and timber up to the past the balcony to make a sort of frame that goes over the top of your balcony and over the top of these large windows.
and then on that frame I would put lots of eyelets, and then I would get sheets of canvas with little elastic hooks so I could put a temporary roof and sides on this. Again, it's really simple. Yeah. It's like literally sailcloth, and you've got people around here who do all this stuff with eyelets, and then just little short rubber bungees. You can just put them up and take them down. So I could, if it was on a very, nice day with a bit of wind, put a panel up there, a panel over the top, stop too much sun coming in, and possibly, if there's a little rain shower, it would sort of keep you a bit protected.
I think removable awnings could be a nice feature which would soften the front elevation and have plenty of practical advantages.
It's all about the wind, isn't it, really? The wind is the thing that defines life down here on the North Coast. And the ability just to put something up to stop the wind whipping through there would allow you to use that space a lot more.
It'd be much easier to do this now than retrofit the frame, so they've got a decision to make. It's one of the disadvantages of going down the prefab route. It's just not as flexible and makes it harder to evolve your ideas. Bathrooms are another example. Peter and Molly want shower screens rather than cubicles, but differing from the building company's standard spec isn't easy.
They quoted for them.
Have they?
But they quoted a lot of money for them.
Okay, well then why don't you just get them to supply you with a shower tray on the floor, plumbed in, and then you build up the floor level so that the fall goes back into the tray, and you just put in glass sheets, and you can buy all this stuff off the internet and make it yourself.
If they do this themselves, then it will save them money, which is good, because that other balcony idea of mine might cost them.
But good luck. Good luck with the Germans. Good luck with getting it, to the start line.
You've probably added another 50,000 to the cost of our build, Charlie.
Rubbish.
The week after my visit, Peter and Molly head to Germany to cross the T's and dot the I's and pick out all their mod cons.
That was quick.
But back at home, it's been a frustrating time, as the team they had lined up to do the demolition and groundworks have pulled out. They've now found a new team, but it's put the schedule back by months. By the start of July, demolition of the old house is finally underway.
Seeing the skips coming and taking away all the rubbish is just wonderful. I think it's taken a lot longer than we imagined it would take to get to this stage, because there's a lot of pre-planning with this type of build. But actually, now it's started, I'm just thrilled to bits.
Piece by piece, skip by skip, the old house is becoming a thing of the past, and it won't be long before they can get started on the groundworks.
I just realised I've got the keys of the house here. I shan't be needing those anymore.
3 months later, and on a damp October morning, the big day has arrived.
I've been awake all night. Is it time to get up yet?
After a 900-mile journey, the first truck carrying their home is edging down their narrow lane.
God, know what you're doing, haven't you?
Well, it is tight, isn't it?
Wow.
Very tight.
That's incredible.
It's so skillful, isn't it? Amazing. It's very impressive. Certainly see where the money's going.
And with a little bit of cheating, the truck is on site.
I'm glad you had to cut that fence down, because I never liked it.
The panels are sealed units that come complete with insulation in the cavities and already plasterboarded.
It's even got the granite window still, hasn't it?
Yep. Well, because it is as complete as they can possibly make it. That's it. That's the reason why.
But they're
after 2
pretty.
days.
That's all I'm worried about.
The floor slab has been very carefully made to ensure all the panels fit perfectly. And by noon, Peter and Molly are able to get a first look at their new view.
The lovely view is that coast, but now we can see quite a lot of this coast, so we can just realise that we can actually just see the beach, which is amazing, you know. I can't go with this crane. I'm in love with this crane.
Coming up, it's hard not to get carried away with progress.
You could just shut the door and, put down a carpet and move in.
And Peter and Molly try to let me down gently.
You put it in a box with a bow on it, but basically I've opened the box and you didn't like it.
In Cornwall, Peter and Molly Goodman have kick-started retirement by knocking down a rickety holiday home, and their German prefab new build is now well underway. By the time it's done, they think it could be worth upwards of £1 million, meaning a saving of around 85 grand compared to buying the equivalent locally.
Now, when they get going, these houses really fly up fast. The timber frame only arrived on site 2 days ago. By tomorrow, it's expected to be fully assembled, and they're scheduled to move in just 3 months' time.
That still leaves them homeless for a few months, but thanks to some generous friends with a spare caravan, they've managed to find somewhere to stay.
Actually loving it. We feel like we're on holiday, really. I did say to Peter, why on earth are we building a house when we could live in this lovely place? We've got 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, one's a shower room and one's a little tiny ensuite inside our bedroom. It's so tiny. And Peter's quite tall. When he sits on the loo, he has to have the door open. So I tell him to whistle while he's in there.
And that is why you're building a new house. Over at the build site, they're up to first floor level already, and it looks like there'll be plenty of room for Peter to stretch his legs.
Wow. It's amazing when you think this is only day 3 of the build, and you can already see the shape of the frame, the shape of the house, and all those lovely windows.
The team are busy assembling the roof section for their first floor kitchen, while Molly's having a quick look around.
It's unreal, honestly, to get to this stage now and really see it come together. And the walls are so absolutely solid, with solid timber on either side, and all the plumbing and all the electrics are already built in. It's just wonderful.
Another 5 days and this place will be watertight. And so far, these two are enjoying the ride.
Peter and I are just walking around with big grins on our faces. I've never seen Peter smile so much in my life.
In terms of expectations, they've been fulfilled, and at the moment I feel fairly stress-free.
I can't wait to have a nose about. Now, ordinarily, I'd leave it a few months, but this is no ordinary build.
Now, just 8 days ago, this was a flat concrete slab with absolutely nothing on it. Now, I have seen these kit houses go up before, but every time I see it, it takes my breath away. I understand in principle how it works, but still, 8 days, a house.
They've been watertight for 24 hours, and while there's some work happening today on the roof, most activity is focused indoors.
I know you've been quite slow to get going, but now you've hit your stride. I mean, that is ridiculous progress.
Incredible. I mean, way beyond their expectations, and yeah, you can't speak highly enough about the guys doing it. They just got on with it. Bad weather initially, but pretty much the house was up in 3 days.
You could just shut the door and, you know, put down a carpet and move in.
Yeah.
It'd be better than the old house.
Downstairs is the bedroom level, and although light is less important down here, when I first saw their plans, I was concerned that where we're standing could feel quite dark.
What are you doing here?
Well, we'll replace that. That door's now going to be glazed. So,
Half glazed, is it?
do you know, I can't remember.
So many decisions.
I can't remember, but it is definitely glazed. I think it is half glazed.
Yeah.
But it does mean now we've got light coming in both from the back and the front.
And
which
I think
will
we'll
help.
be able to see from the front door through to the garden, so that was a very good idea.
Just to get a little hint of view as you walk
Yeah.
through. It is always nice that to orientate yourself.
The original plans had shower cubicles in the 4 en-suites, but Peter and Molly wanted walk-in showers. I suggested they build them themselves, but the main contractor has stepped in.
What did you end up doing?
Well, we've got rid of those, and we're having walk-ins.
Nice, big,
Yeah.
metal. I like metal shower trays. Something very kind of.
And apparently they're set into foam, which so they retain the warmth of the tray as well.
So you do get cold feet.
No, you don't get cold feet. No.
They think of everything, these Germans, don't they? Oh, I hate cold feet in the shower.
They couldn't believe we're having 4 bathrooms. They just said, "You're having 4 bathrooms?" They said, in Germany we have 1 and we have the whole family there at the same time. I said, it wouldn't work here.
You carry on with that, my friends. You carry on with that.
Upstairs will be the main living space with a large kitchen diner and a separate living room. I suggested they may want to improve the quality of light and connection between the spaces.
So in here, we talked about some kind of glazed connection between the sitting room and the stairwell, didn't we?
Yes, I think you were suggesting it to let some more light in,
Yeah.
but we decided not to.
Why not? I like that idea.
You like separate rooms, don't you? And the lounge, keeping the lounge separate. So, so I think all in all, we decided it was better left as it was.
Might have been a bit too modern for us.
A bit too modern.
Too modern.
We're off Fluxton with your modern ways. Yeah, coming down here with your fancy ideas.
I guess this doesn't bode well for my grand balcony idea, although when I first dreamt it up, I thought they quite liked it.
Because we discussed a sort of an idea out there of a sort of a timber frame, didn't we? So that you could sort of use it to put up bits of canvas and create shelter and...
A sail, you suggested?
Yeah, sort of
a canvas sail.
Yeah, to attach
on
to
the balcony.
shading and wind.
I think
For wind, because it's windy in Cornwall, as you know.
it is, Charlie. I think the thing really is here, we are in the middle of a street. I think we've got to be a little bit cognizant of the fact that we are there, and I think that would have just been a bit of a bridge too far. I think had we been further up front by ourselves, yes, but it was going to be quite a dramatic look, and it was a nice idea, but we just felt it, and we decided to go for a balcony railing, which is just clear glass.
It's letting me down very gently.
Yeah, and
Okay, but let's cut to the straight. You didn't like it, did you? You just dressed it up. You put it in a box with a bow on it, but basically I've opened the box and you didn't like it.
But this lady didn't even want to build a house in the first place.
Fine.
Even to get to the degree to that was a big move.
Baby
so,
steps,
you know.
baby steps. Well, no, it's looking great, and I think there's some really good progress, and I can see a fantastic view from up here. Really,
Yes, it's better than it was, isn't it?
it's beautiful.
I think it's time I took my fancy ideas elsewhere. But before I do, there's just time to enjoy a very European rite of passage, the traditional and rather dressy topping off ceremony.
May I have your attention? For German crafts workers, we stand above. Your house was built with speed and love. Not too large and not too small. A blessing now I ask for all. So now I lift this glass to say, God bless this house from today. Cheers.
Thank you.
Ho! Ho! Ho!
I think that means it's good. I think that means it's good. I don't know, but it sounds good.
This whole build feels a bit of an event, a bit of a spectacle. And if I have one concern, it's that Peter and Molly might become spectators. I want to remind them there are still lots of big decisions to come, and it will pay to stay actively involved in shaping things right to the end. So I'm sending them to a shrewdly thought through self-build near Truro.
This looks really nice, doesn't it?
Well, they certainly use the view
Very
they've got
clever.
very well, haven't they?
Very
It's,
clever how they've used the site.
Healthcare professional Jane Cripps and husband Jasper remodelled and significantly extended a 1970s bungalow to develop this 4-bed home in 2014.
How do you do?
Jane.
Hello, Molly. Nice to meet you.
Hi,
Peter.
Peter.
Nice to meet you as well.
Like Peter and Molly, Jane and Jasper went for upside-down living. Although in this house you enter on the open-plan first floor.
It's very unusual because you've managed to combine a lot of separate areas, but all in one.
It all sort of flows, the architects
Yeah.
sort of did it so that it all flowed as one. So obviously this is our kitchen and dining area.
Peter and Molly's kitchen is one of the few things that can be chosen after the house goes up. So will Jane's sleek, dare I say, modern approach appeal?
We've got the layout arranged, and it's not too dissimilar from yours, actually.
Okay.
We've got this sort of U shape and a big central island, so it's really nice to see that.
One of the things we wanted to take full advantage of was the view.
Cool.
Yeah. So
A lovely view.
it is a nice view. So it's quite nice when you're cooking. So the only gadget that I let him have
The razors that we have. So.
is one of these. So yeah,
Very
it
sexy.
comes out. Yeah, it doesn't take away any of the view.
When it came to worktops, Jasper and Jane couldn't stretch to granite, so went for a thick, durable laminate, which looks pretty good. They've also gone for a very striking and practical palette, with all the rooms painted white, allowing bright accent colours to punch through.
I really like the fact that you've combined older pieces of furniture with this very modern, sleek look. It looks lovely. It really works.
We got a similar situation, haven't we? Because we got an old oak table and oak chairs, and yeah, it's ostensibly a very modern house, but I think it works fine.
It looks very
I think it can in minimal. I mean, as you can see, none of the chairs match either. And we just decided that we'd use what little pieces we could, but a lot of older furniture doesn't work.
The adjacent living room is part of the new build section, and joining together two rooms with different ceiling heights threw up a problem that Peter and Molly have also been grappling with.
You've got the same issue of a junction between a flat roof in that area and a vaulted ceiling, which is what we're going to have in the dining kitchen area, and it's been really hard to envisage what that's going to be like. And we've asked them if they will build the archway at the junction in the same way as yours, where the ceiling is sort of hidden up behind it.
While most of the bedrooms are downstairs, Jane and Jasper saved the best for themselves. A first floor master bedroom with great views.
Lovely. Oh, that's lovely.
So yeah,
Lovely doors. Did you have those made?
my brother-in-law made those. Used
Aren't
this
they
cedar from the outside of the house and then built the whole cupboard for me. You know, if you're building stuff in, there's a lot of local people in Cornwall that are really good at wood.
It's a great tip for Peter and Molly, who haven't exactly shopped local so far.
It's been a very useful visit. I think to see a property which has got a very similar situation, a lovely outlook, beautiful view, and I think Jane's done some very interesting things to it. But yeah, been very, very interesting
Lovely
indeed.
to come here.
Coming up, there's some good news on the budget.
You saved over £30,000. I'd take that any day.
Yeah.
But I'm worried they're about to make a big mistake.
Why are you doing that, Molly?
And it's going to cost us £500 to do it as well.
I just wouldn't do it, Molly.
Near Padstow in Cornwall, Peter and Molly's prefab German home got off to a faltering start when the contractor they'd lined up to demolish the old place and to do the groundworks pulled out. Having to find a new contractor kicked the programme back by months, but may have been a blessing in disguise.
Well, I mean, on demolition, we were quoted firstly 20,000, and we got it done for 7,300.
Wow, that's a big saving.
Which is a massive saving.
That's a car. You can go and get a car.
Well, yeah.
But that's
Well,
well, there you go. You just saved
it's
the
a
money.
few good parties, isn't
Well,
it?
okay, one or the other.
Or some curtains or whatever. But and then on the groundworks, I mean, we were recommended by the house building company to use the company, and they quoted us 40,000 for the groundworks. That didn't include removing the earth, and it didn't include the drains. So I reckon we would have spent 50 grand on them. But we've got it done for about 30. I mean,
So you saved over £30,000.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's cost you time,
Yes.
but that's 10 grand a month.
Well, in a
I'd
way,
take that any day.
Yeah.
But despite that saving, unexpected extras, like for example having to provide the site office and choosing to up spare con stairs and skirting, has seen the spend creep back up. And Peter and Molly are expecting to come in around their original budget of 420 grand.
You were hoping to be in now, sort of in October. When do you think you will be moving in?
It's dependent upon a few things, but probably the worst case scenario is beginning of February. But we're still quite hopeful it could be the end of January.
Okay. Well, just a few more months and you'll be back in. I can't wait to see it when the scaffolding drops and you get on that balcony and you really see that view. Yeah. That is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
One of the potential pitfalls of a kit house that's been made in a factory is that it can feel impersonal. But there are still a few decisions that are up for grabs, one of which is the balustrade on their feature balcony.
Pretty much most things are set, aren't there? There's a few items that you sort of have to organise separately, and the balustrade is one of those.
It was, because in the end we took it away from the building company because, quite frankly, they were going to charge an absolute fortune for it.
Yeah.
So we could source it locally better. Yeah. And actually it makes sense to do so because it's given us a chance to really think about it.
Peter and Molly recently visited Jane Cripp's place near Truro, and her striking balcony of cantilevered glass made a real impression. They're thinking about following suit, but I'm a little concerned about that.
Are you going to try and get self-cleaning glass on the balustrade? Because you are quite close to the sea. I mean, not right on it, but this is Cornwall, and you get sea spray and it gets picked up, and you can get quite a lot of salting on the
It's a good point. I hadn't even heard of it, so it's one we can ask.
Worth looking into. Anything you can do to try and keep the maintenance of that down and keep the view, because once that starts to cloud over with the salt, it's going to really take a lot out of the view, so think about that.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth looking into. Jane's place was part refurb, part new build, and where old meets new, you often have a downstand, a lower bit of ceiling where supporting beams have been plastered over. But I'm a little surprised to hear that for purely cosmetic reasons, Molly wants a downstand at the junction between the flat ceiling of her kitchen and the vaulted diner.
Why are you doing that, Molly?
Well,
We go to an enormous amount of effort to get rid of downstands because they hugely divide space. They really cut it up.
well, the alternative is you'd look from the vaulted ceiling and then you just see this great big white slab.
Has it gone in?
No. And it's going to cost us £500 to do it as well.
I just wouldn't do it, Molly. Are you feeling picked on? A little bit.
Well, I suppose I'd have to see it to know whether I liked it.
I just think Molly's idea will look like a wall that's been knocked through, needlessly dividing the space. But it's probably time to change the subject.
Now, what about storage? And because those obviously is one of the things you've got to think about is fitting out storage in bedrooms and how. What are you thinking about that? Jane had some quite interesting built-in storage.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Well, she'd had some handmade timber doors.
Well, her brother-in-law done it, I think, hadn't she? Yeah.
Peter and Molly are wary of the expense, but I've got a relatively cheap way of creating storage which should give this factory-made home a stronger sense of character.
Another thing you can do is to go to a reclaim place and buy really nice sort of old-fashioned doors, beautiful old doors, and then get some simple timber, and they don't even all have to come through at the same height or be the same size, and paint them all out as a sort of a slightly muted matte colour. It sort of pulls the detail together and you're just left with this interesting pattern and texture.
Yeah.
And again, quite an affordable way of starting to get some storage into a room. Well, I look forward to coming back when it's done and some colours have been chosen and some storage in the kitchen and the great down stand debate has been resolved.
Yeah.
By December, the construction team have headed back to Germany, and a new German interiors team have taken over. The walls have been prepared for painting, and tiling is well underway. But it's the Cornish weather that's threatening to spoil things.
It's been very wet, which has held them up doing the outside rendering. But I think they've decided now they're going to wait until after Christmas to do that. It's all prepared and it's totally waterproof, but it's just the top coat of external rendering that needs to be done. And because they can't do that, they can't take the scaffolding down.
It's now looking like Peter and Molly will have to wait until February to move in. But fortunately, some more kind neighbours have spared them a winter in the caravan.
As luck would have it, some very nice friends said we could use their holiday home, so we moved back into the village about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's lovely to be back here. It'll be what it'll be. I mean, we certainly don't want them to rush or compromise what they're doing just for the sake of a few weeks. We've waited this long, so I think we don't mind waiting a bit longer.
And thankfully, Molly is also feeling much happier about the controversial downstand between her kitchen and diner.
I was completely wrong. And I think Charlie saved me from myself, because I just got it totally into my head that we needed to have this. And when he suggested that we didn't, I was rather panicked. But actually we sort of said, well, let's leave it and see. And we did leave it and see, and it's absolutely fine.
Over Christmas, the build comes to a complete halt for the holidays. A month's delay that could have been avoided, because if they'd started on time, they would have been done by now. But by mid-January, everyone's back on site and working faster than ever.
Since the guys got back yesterday, things are moving at a hell of a pace. There was this dormant 4 weeks period, and that's quite frustrating in a way, but now they're back, it really does feel like it's gathering momentum.
The bathrooms are being plumbed in, those walk-in showers are taking shape, electricians are fitting the consumer unit, and the house is being hooked up to the mains. And the following day, the lights are on at Peter and Molly's.
This feels like massive progress. I think you can't underestimate when you get these services in like that. We should be turning the water on today as well, so the toilet should work. All these things just underline the fact that it's now becoming our future home.
Despite the amazing organisation and general build quality, there are instances where cultural differences have come to the fore and changes have had to be made.
We have different requirements. The Germans on the whole go for fairly straightforward stuff. I think it's probably one area where they need to brush up on. The standard German skirting board is literally a little bit of rectangle like that. And, we sort of said, well, nobody in the UK would have that. And so that's what they put in their quotes, so we had to upgrade that because it just looks silly. But on the other hand, the standard equipment that you get with all the bathroom equipment that you get is very, very good, very high standard.
Still to come, Peter's feeling confident.
That'll keep you busy for a few days.
Well, I don't think so. I won't have it all done by tonight.
But will the finished house live up to expectations?
And the view. The great view from up here, that's great, isn't it? In the Cornish village of Trevone, Peter and Molly bought a rickety old holiday home, pulled it down and replaced it with a German kit home, which is just weeks away from completion.
Peter and Molly have opted for a turnkey deal for the vast majority of their home, which means they'll be pretty much hands-off until they turn the key in the front door for the first time. And that has just happened. But there's still quite a lot of internal fit-out to do. And from now on, they're on their own.
It's the end of January. The German team have headed home, leaving Peter and Molly to manage the final fit-out.
They were really, really fastidious about the handover. They checked every little detail. And there was a tiny little scratch on one of the window handles, so they replaced the handle, and they checked every corner of the paintwork and the windows, and if anything wasn't quite right, They put it on their list and then corrected it until they gave us the keys in the afternoon. It was just amazing.
They're planning to move in just 8 days' time, but whether they'll get the render done before then is anyone's guess.
And we're just waiting for a break in the weather. They shouldn't need more than 2 to 4 days to do it. So they need temperature to be above a certain level, and they need it not to be driving wind and rain.
Today the kitchen, which wasn't part of the all-in deal, is being fitted, and it's going to be fairly traditional.
We didn't feel that a sort of high gloss, very contemporary, sleek kitchen would work for us. And I suppose I'm quite old-fashioned, really, and this look I particularly like. So Peter was very kind and happy to go along with it.
Molly may not be the most adventurous, but as far as kitchen fitter Alan is concerned, she and Peter are a joy to work with.
They're quite open to ideas. If we see something that's not quite right, or just from experience of fitting, and then you sort of you suggest gently that, have you considered such and such, and they're just so they really embrace it. They're open to ideas, and when you've got customers like that, it makes it worthwhile.
2 months later, and a major milestone has been reached as they finally had a chance to do the external render.
We're waiting for this now since really November, so sort of 4 to 5 months have gone by. That's been entirely due to the weather, which has been quite frankly awful. But now that has actually improved, they've suddenly come and done it, and that's meant we've been able to get the scaffolding down.
Render done means no more scaffolding, means they can finally push on and get it all finished. Today the flat pack furniture is arriving for Peter's music room and Molly's art space. There's an awful lot of it.
That'll keep you busy for a few days.
Well, I don't think so. I won't have it all done by tonight.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Be up all night.
No, it's pretty straightforward. Well, I think it is. See, we'll see.
He's just built a flat pack home, so surely this is child's play by comparison.
Perfect.
And sure enough, just an hour and a half later,
Voila.
Voila! Yes, one down. How many more to go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 8 more to go.
Well, it'd actually be good to put a timer on this.
Time you?
Timing, so what is it now? I'll give you an idea then.
Exactly 5:30.
great. So at this rate, we should all be done in time for breakfast. Come May, the furniture's assembled, the house is finished, and I head back to Cornwall to take a look.
This is quite interesting because in a way you can see that this is a kit house, because there the house sits, perfectly finished. The garden still needs a bit of work, but you can see a bit of paving, bit of sorting out. It is going to be great. And that balcony I know has got such a great view out over the sea. pretty special.
The driving force behind this project has always been to give the site the house it deserves. Peter and Molly wanted to replace their old home with something comfortable and energy efficient with a layout to suit their lifestyle. And I can't wait to see how they've gone about it.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Peter. Hello, Molly. How are you?
Very well, how are you?
It looks very finished on the outside here in the house.
Yeah?
What's going on with the garden?
No, not
Bit of
so
a work
finished.
in progress?
Yeah, very much so. That's the Cornish winter.
But everything's done in here.
Pretty much.
Should we go and have a look?
Yeah.
You enter on the ground floor bedroom level into a warm and inviting hallway. Early on, I encouraged Peter and Molly to make sure they'd get enough light into this space.
You glaze the door through to the utility.
That's what you told us to do.
Yes.
Yes. So we have.
Well, I think that's nice. You can see through that door and then through the next door, and you kind of get a sense of the rear garden as well.
And it does let light, and it does need it. So yeah, that's fine. It's worked well.
That's worked quite well.
Yeah.
It's quite a contrast, isn't it, in here? I mean, you carpets and sort of... It's not super modern, is it?
No, we're not super modern people. We like a sort of more class, as you'll see, a more classic look.
Yeah.
Down here there are 3 spare bedrooms, one of which doubles up as Peter's music studio. And then there's their own master bedroom suite.
Ah, so this is your master bedroom. And you've got a view of the sea from the bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's quite nice, actually, isn't it? That you sort of just see across throughout to Trevose.
Yes.
See the Padstow lifeboat launching.
How are you finding having a bedroom on the ground floor? Because some people are a bit freaked out by that. I mean, I've never really understood why it's a problem, but some people don't like it.
We thought it might be a bit odd, but actually it wasn't at all. And now it seems very natural, and we really love living upstairs.
Yeah, so that's the trade.
Yeah.
That's the trade, isn't it? If you sleep down here, you get to spend your time with the view.
In their spacious ensuite, Peter and Molly weren't happy with the original spec, and I encouraged them to fight for a big, generous shower.
So you got the walk-in shower, not with the cubicle, but more just a sort of...
All the way through, actually, in all the bathrooms.
And that's working okay?
Very good.
Much nicer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And doors and stuff.
And we're really pleased with all the en-suites that work really well.
And as Peter said, the great gain of an upside-down house is that the living areas upstairs, where they'll spend most of their time, are really special.
So, I mean, this is the main space, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the view. The great view from up here, that's great, isn't it? Now, is that a self-cleaning glass you went for on the balustrade in the end?
Oh, I don't know. Is it?
I don't know.
We talked about that.
Did we?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
And also, there's no sails or sort of bits, like expressive balcony.
I think, as we said at the time, that the issue there is we're not, we are surrounded by other people, and I thought that would be a bit too dramatic.
What, some sails and bits of wood? It's by the coast. Like, people sail past on boats all the time. They don't throw rocks at them.
Get a boat. A boat on.
I think it's fair to say these guys haven't exactly hung on my every word. They've stuck to their guns and are clearly very happy with what they've ended up with. The huge balcony is going to make summer days very special. And when the winter rolls in, they've got the entertaining space indoors that they've always wanted.
Now, this is one of the areas that you were responsible for, wasn't it? I mean, the house was really kind of pretty much a turnkey, but you had to do some of the fit out.
We had to have this sort of designed and fitted for us, and probably took a year to get the design how we wanted it, and absolutely love it. Really, really pleased with it.
And you've got a big range over there?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the kitchen works really well because the walk-in larder was one of the big features for us. I mean, that holds so much food. So literally it's a preparation area and you work around and delivery out here. So, you know, for dinner parties and that, it just works.
I'm pleased they've got the kitchen right, and it shows flashes of the contemporary with the modern hood and lit niches. With all the walls painted white, Peter and Molly have blank canvases right now, and plenty of options about how they evolve the spaces. Off the diner is a comfortable separate sitting room with another great view and a very cosy feel.
Is that a fire? Is that
It
a
is.
real fire? That's not a real fire, is it?
No, it's called...
What is that?
It's basically a combination of light, 3D and water vapour.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
It's really kind of hypnotic, isn't it?
It's hypnotic. It generates absolutely no heat whatsoever.
Because I was going to say, you don't want any heat in this house. I mean, you've got incredibly good, almost passive house air tightness. You've got MVHR, you've got triple glaze. You don't want any extra heat.
No, far from it. No. But we wanted the focal point, and it just looks the part, and it's anything we found that's remotely like that.
Very interesting.
Clever bit. Yeah.
That's a clever bit of kit, that.
Peter and Molly always wanted the comfort that a modern house can bring, but they also wanted a traditional feel. And I'm pleased they found ways to keep this place feeling like home. Considering they've never self-built before, starting from scratch was a brave move, but it's paid off. They've achieved everything they set out to do, and for Molly, a little more on top.
When we first met, you said that you loved to move, and that this was probably just another stepping stone on life's journey. Is that still how you feel?
Not at all. That's really interesting when I think about that, because we have moved a lot in our life, but I can't tell you how different it feels. The old house was really quite drab and depressing, and it affected our attitude to our life here. But this house, just because it's a much more comfortable house and it works in terms of living, it's just enhanced our life.
So this is actually your forever home, despite what you said when we first met?
I think it could be.
Well, that's nice. That's brilliant, isn't it?
It is.
That's a really good thing.
It is.
You bought the plot for 495.
Yeah.
Your original build budget was 420.
Yeah.
What did you end up spending?
Well, we're not far, you know, there are still a few things to do, but we're around that sort of 450 mark, really. So I've kept a very careful spreadsheet on this, and, you know, we've won some and lost some, but on the whole, it's kept pretty well within the boundaries we'd hoped for.
The wins include 30k saved on groundworks, while the losses were upgrading specs on the skirting, staircase and in particular the electrics, which cost around 10 grand more than planned. But seeing as that 450 figure includes an extra 30 grand for landscaping, they've built this place pretty much for what they expected.
So that's about 950 all up. Do you know what it might be worth?
Well, we had an estate agent round this week, and we were told probably about 1.25.
Not only have Peter and Molly found their forever home, they've generated 300 grand's worth of equity in the process. Not bad for a year's hard work.
What I love about this project is you just seem so happy about the house, about where you're living, about the decision you made to move here, and it's really refreshing to see a couple of people reveling in what they've created, you know, in the wider sense of the word, you know, beyond the house, about the whole lifestyle. And I think that's, long may you enjoy it. And congratulations.
Thanks, Charlie.
Congratulations.
Next time, I help to build a new home on the old family farm. But they get off to a shaky start.
We've got our ground floor. How can halfway through the build the first floor not even be produced?
And although I try my best to help,
Jack and Jill doors, come on. Jack and Jill doors in a toilet. Are you okay with those?
the builder's left hanging in the balance.
Got a big, expensive house to finish, but I'm not quite sure where it's going at the moment.
If you're building the dream and would like to take part in the next series, visit channel4.com/take part for more information.
Female big game hunters are on the rise. Why? We'll ask tomorrow at 9 over on 4. Or next, a loo where there's no poo allowed. Clean, definitely, but a bit pointless, surely.